5 is 1 in the 6. Fit the runner, boy, you nigga, no question. You would run a motherfucker high stepping. Hey, you never had a big enough weapon. Motherfucker never learned your lesson. I'm a 88 pack nigga. I'm a 88 pack nigga. I mean, day walker, drink blood, fangs out, full moon, motherfucker, change like a hoe, nigga. I'm just a nigga from the hood trying to stack a little cheddar for the money.
Let's see that.
Y'all already know I'm geeking out. Y'all already know I'm geeking out.
What up,
Y'all
man?
already know I'm geeking out. Stormy in the building. We waiting on Trick Noty and look who stopped by. Danny Kid Dynamite Romero. What's going on, bro?
What up, my man? How you doing, my bro?
Oh man, this is great, man. This is great, man. I'm geeking out, man.
Hey, this is a pleasure for me, my man. It's a pleasure for me. You know, I greatly appreciate everything that you guys are doing for us. Not only, you know, the old school fighters and just keeping our boxing going, you know, and recognizing what is real. I mean, that's the only way I can explain that.
Yeah, man. Look, and you know what's weird? You know what's weird? You know, I consider myself a supporter of the sport.
Yes.
I don't know everything,
Right.
but I know enough, and
Sure.
I'm very passionate about it. And you were one of the guys that when during the week, like let's say it's Monday, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, damn, what year was that? Okay, I was like in college. I'm like, yo, who's fighting Saturday? Oh shit, Danny Romero's fighting this Saturday. Woo, Danny Romero's fighting. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate
Saturday come, I'm in front of the TV and HBO. Girls calling me, yo, Bob, yo, babe, I'll call you back. I told you I'm watching the fight. Danny Romero's fighting. You know what I'm saying? Who's that? None of your business. I'll call you back. Boom. You know what I mean? That's how much Friday night fights, Tuesday night fights,
Tuesday night.
boxing after dark. You know what I mean? And you were one of the guys that I grew up with. Man, I'm gonna be all over the place, but real quick.
Tell me. No, go for it.
You were on a video game, my man. The knockout
Yes,
game.
sir. You know what was so funny about that is because all the bros were on there, and I remember Roy Jones one time he was telling me something that they were because he was on there, and I said, you know, the one thing that I have different on that whole game is yes, I'm a puncher and all that, but it made me out to be a dirty fighter. Get no blows, and on the video game we would play it, I would win every time because I would start playing fight dirty, and I was like punch. And I started to ask some of like you know, friends, which were some of the refs and some of the judges, and just asking questions of what they thought of me. You know what I mean? And the first thing at that time when all that was happening, they kept referring like, "Oh, you're a very rough fighter," and I didn't understand. I was like, "Rough? I'm just trying to knock these fools out, man." when that game came out, I went, "Oh, okay," and I had gotten a lot of advice from Duran a long time ago. He said, Mira, it's a fight, baby. So it ain't nothing about scoring no points. And you're a type of fighter that's not out to score points. You go out there and try to hurt him. And any which way that works for you to win, do it. So I was always into, hey, if I have to hit him on the hip to slow him down by the 9th round, I got it, baby.
Wow. Stormy, you got any questions, brother?
Oh man, welcome to the show, Danny. Glad to have you here this evening, man.
No, it's my pleasure. My pleasure, man.
Being around, we're roughly in the same demographic, so as far as age and whatnot. But what I wanted to say is that fighters like yourself, man, you're a throwback to that time when, like you said, what Duran said, you know. Being a fighter, it's a fight, you know, it's tough as nails. It's, you know, you put your hard hat on and your lunch pail and you go to work. These guys today, man, with their man purses and painting their nails and, you know, wearing their capri pants and all of that stuff, they don't have a clue, you know. And it's a sad thing because we always had something to shoot for. We had fighters like your era and going back.
Yes.
Like, even if times are hard, someone can see a fight like yours or see what you've gone through and what you've had to overcome. And it's inspiring. You know what I'm saying? And it gives a person incentive. I'm gonna go to the gym and be like this guy. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of becoming something that's lost.
Yes.
So to be able to now we have social media like we do, and we can invite you all back on here with us to discuss, to reminisce, to
Yes.
kind of pass that baton and also connect socially in a manner which some people, because some people didn't know, some people weren't old enough to know,
Right.
and some may have even forgotten.
You
So
know, one
someone
thing.
can run across this and see that, oh, that's my man. I remember when he was in there with so and so, that kind of thing. And
Yes.
it's important. So, just having you aboard, man, it's a wonderful thing. And
Yeah.
we appreciate you being here.
Oh man,
Salute the trick.
that's a huge compliment. Thank you, thank you. You know, I come from an era of what you just said. You know, everybody for nowadays it's just they have forgotten about where all our techniques, where all these talks, where all the boxing people really come from, right? We do have to look at some of the stuff of the past. I am one at that time though. I do remember because of course my coach trained five other world champions other than me. So I was around a lot of guys, and at a very young age that I got to understand what history was about. You know what I mean? It wasn't just fighting what we were doing right there. It was fighting not only for the past, but what's going to happen for the future. And in the middle of all that, I used to study all these guys, and of their styles were not like mine until I started looking deep into boxing. You know what I mean? The fighters yesterday, the Jeff Chandlers, the Alfonso Zamora, all those type of fighters. You got to look at what they've gone through and what you've done and what they've done. Talking about all that stuff about manhood and all that. I came from an era that we weren't texting or anything about fighting. We fought when we said we were going to fight. It happened. You know what I mean? And we were trying to fight and be the best. And that was one important thing for me in my career.
Wow, man. So much to that. I'm all over the place, man. All right.
No, go for it. No, go ahead.
All right, let's
I love
start.
that. But you know
Cause
what? Our boxing needs that. I mean, we have such a big variety of everything. Check out our styles, man. From the little guys, from the big guys, just everything, man. You know, that's what had always inspired me. You walk into a gym and you could look at all aspects of the gym and go, wow, look at there's that style, there's this trainer, and then what you said, there's those ones that go, wow, look at what he's doing. He's here basically 24/7. Why is he champion? Because of that. You know, and then you start getting into finding out what they're about, what they're doing. And that was something for me that I wanted to explore during my career. I remember all the time in Houston, the fans were great fans of everybody. You know, of course they had their likes, but they understood and they believed. You know, you go to New York, the same type of thing about fights. You come out here to the Southwest and the West. You know, I think we should start getting back to just like what you guys said. You know, got to really respect these fighters that have done great things in our sport. So I'm all
yeah,
about that.
yeah, I don't think you're spoken about enough. You're one of those guys that are not spoken about enough.
Man,
And I really enjoyed watching your work, man. I
thank
mean, you
you.
went in there. There was not one time that I recall that you were ever out of shape.
No.
You was all business. And I think you're one of those fighters that are, in my opinion, are under the radar. You don't get enough credit, especially for what you're doing with the gym.
Uh,
How's that hanging?
it's good, you know, and I greatly appreciate you bringing that up because I got to tell you this. This is it's a continuation of what my father started many years ago before I was even around, and he was about giving the community, giving the kids in the barrio some kind of alternative that was around, and all that violence and all the issues of where we come from.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I was gifted enough and, graced by God that I had a trainer that was looking for my future, not just in boxing, but my future. He did that with
Right.
other fighters. I mean, I was gifted that he was my father, but that also was a little bit rough too, because it was it was a point of trying to prove what I can do and what I can't do, not only around his other champions. I mean, he's had guys like, Primo Ramos, and again, Roberto Duran was a lot at our gym. So
Mm.
one of the greatest fighters ever, and he would just be training with us. I mean, I'd be a 13, 14-year-old kid, coming back from the JO Nationals, and you come back to our gym, and that don't mean nothing because this is Roberto Duran training, and it's that type of thing.
How was that?
You learn a lot of stuff about respect, especially when it's about it in the ring. You know what I mean? And if you don't walk that fine line on that, you got checked. And checked by Duran, and that was not a good thing. And it didn't matter what hold you were, where you were at in your boxing career. So you understood the level. You know what I mean?
Yeah. One of the things that I liked about Roberto, just one of the things that I liked about Roberto was his skills with jumping that damn rope, man. Y'all know I like to jump rope. Y'all know I love jumping rope.
That is, when we were all young, I remember he used to get a lot of us in there where they would be asking us to do our thing, right? Jumping rope, getting crazy doing. And then Duran would come up and start doing his stuff, and it was just amazing. And look at his footwork. Look at how long that is over generations of boxers. That can help now. And a lot of them ain't doing that. That's where I get a little bit disappointed and all that, going, look, I think one part of it, we can go and do a lot more as boxers, and the trainers don't get to the spots of it where they push them to do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And at that level, you guys know this. I mean, it was hard ass work. It's not just about going in there and okay, we're gonna no. That is all the end pieces. We got to get this jump rope. We got to do our road work. We got to do our arm waves. We got to do the push-ups. Before all the stuff about boxing, we got to learn how to throw that jab, right? We got to learn how to push your feet. And that's the type of boxing history that I come from. And I think a lot of that's missing nowadays. You guys are bringing it back, though. I like this. Look. How are we all going to know? I know Reggie has other training methods. The other day when I was talking to you about rivalries, Lou has a whole other different thing. And I personally believe, especially back in the days, all the coaches used to get together. I was just talking to Freddie Roach not too long ago, and he was talking about, hey, we got to get all the trainers back together, all the old school dudes, so they can tell them what's happening and give just some advice so we can get our sport into the how important it is. Our sport is. You know what I mean? That's what's important.
Well, Stormy is a former coach. I tell everyone this. I've never went pro, never went amateur, but I've been in gyms.
Yes.
So I see a lot of things, and I understand. I've sparred, so I understand things, but there are things that I don't understand on a professional level. You know what I'm saying? So I've been around a lot of great coaches.
See, and that right in itself right there, that's about being a good coach, because you're trying to learn every day. That's what it's about. There's so many things I look at the fighters. I remember this. I remember them coming out with me at that time saying that I was a big 115 pounds as I went up to 122. These are big. Well, you look at them now, and I have, the old school, like Michael Carvajal. That's a beast. That's a great champion there. He's been a personal brother of mine since I've been a young kid, and just look at that. But now, those 105 pounds and all those they're big, they're massive. You know,
Yeah.
everybody's growing bigger and they're able to do all this other stuff. And I think that's where we need to keep advancing our boxing, because these kids can do all that stuff. And, you know, I used to
Yeah.
look at myself,
Let,
look, I
let me
knew
chime in for a second here, Danny. I want to say something. You talk
me, man.
about how big they are today. That's true,
Right?
but they're not big in the right place.
Okay, I agree.
They're not big on the inside.
Well,
And
that's
see,
what I'm
that's what separates now from what was and what can be again. See, you had the era of coaches and trainers that help cultivate your character as well as honing your craft in the gym. You don't go in the gym to beat up on one another. You go in the gym, it's like going to class.
Yes, you're going to train,
Okay.
you're going to practice.
When you talk about a fighter spending so much time in the gym, one of the reasons why, and people don't think about this, but it's totally associated. Most professional fighters that you meet are nice guys.
Yes.
But do you know why that is? Yep. Because they spend most of their time ironing out their aggression in the gym. So when you're out here in the world, boxing is a martial art. When you're out here in the world, a disciplined fighter can maintain that aggression in a proper manner and channel it and be able to deal with people socially.
Yes.
It's the undisciplined ones that finds themselves in trouble with the law and stuff like that and have these incidents. But primarily, fighters do well with people because it's their craft to be aggressive. So you have to have a place to let it down, so to speak, or, you know, and put that away. Most people don't associate the two things. Most people don't even think about it. A lot of fighters don't think about it. But you have to understand, if you're getting the proper mentorship, it comes together.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And that's something that people just don't equate. But it means a lot, and it says more because of whoever you may have worked with. And they say, well, you know, Eddie Futch was my trainer, or Emmanuel Stewart was my trainer. Then you say, oh, okay, I can see how, you know,
the structure
that tutelage has rubbed off.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely. Look, I was just explaining to you about Roberto Duran. You guys know this. He was one of the meanest, you know, talking about fight. That guy was all about fight. Now, there was many times, I mean, he didn't care where he got under your skin, and that was his fight. You know, he beat you before he got in the ring and all that. But there was, I can't tell you a day that every time that he was in the gym that he didn't tell us, you need to have respect for people. All that aggression, everything, we'd be getting all crazy in the gym and being hard, and you know, it's rough in there. It's hard. You're training. Somebody's looking right at you, trying to kill you.
Yeah,
that's the way I used to look at it. I tell kids in our program, I said, because when they're out there going, look, I'll fight to the end and be, and I said, listen, you guys don't understand. You guys don't understand. When you're looking at a man's eyes that is willing to die for his family, that is training. I have fought guys. When I fought Harold Gray, when I was giving him the attitude and face and all that whole stuff, it was a part in there that I was looking right at his face going, holy shit, this is going to be a fight, man, because he was looking right through me. I could feel him. I could feel all that not just animosity, but the animosity because he knew what he can do. And if he beat me, he was going to be able to take care of his family. You know, all that stuff is in there.
Right.
That's the thing that talking about aggression is that's where it's supposed to be channeled. And that's where people like myself have been around Alexis Arguello and stuff like that would would literally tell me. I was always champion. They would be telling me, stop, do this, you gotta be gente. You know what gente is? People. Be the people. And that lasts a lot longer than anything else, you know. And again, Michael Carvajal, he's one of them, you know, gives me advice till this day.
So you also you shared a gym with Alexis Arguello.
Yes. We
what was that like?
At one point, so my father was brought in to do some conditioning, and of course he knew about me boxing. I was younger. After we fought after he fought Billy Costello, they brought him here to Phoenix, and we trained there for a while because they came back. So it was about a couple of years worth of in and out like that, and it was an experience for me. It was one of the first time I got to understand about running fast because he would take off and go hard all and we were already at that part where some of the training was not to wear down your legs as much, you know what I mean, especially when it'd be coming down when you're fighting, like when I fought at the sports festival, you know, it's 6 days and you're losing weight and you're trying to save your legs and all that whole thing. And Alexis told me, if you're in total shape, if you're going like this, and at that time they had already changed it, but he fought 15 rounds. And if you run hard like you fight, that works for you. And it, just like what you said, I went into every fight knowing, because this is what I felt in my career, that I knew I could punch and I knew I could take a shot because I was in great shape. So I didn't care what would happen. I would go in and take everything that they can give me and see if they could take mine. And that didn't happen all that much, but I was in full 100% in shape. And that was all those structures and those ideas that those great world champions like Alexis Arguello instilled in me.
Man, that's awesome, man. That's awesome, man. When there was a time when Alexis was somewhere close out here, and he was somewhere, and I could have went to go see him, and I didn't, and I always regret it. Damn, that guy was something else. Very deceptive. I remember watching him in the 80s. He was tall for the weight class, lanky, but man, that guy could punch.
He got great. You know, I used to watch him in the gym, and he had this. They made it for him. It was one of his coaches that made this real heavy bag, and he'd be punching on the other ones, and then all of a sudden he would get on this and just talking about the old George Foreman, just boom, just
right.
And it was surprising because, of course, by that time I already knew weight classes and who can hit and, you know, all that. And I'm looking at that flaco explosivo. That's what they call him, the explosive thin man. And just hitting this damn bag and it'd be flying all over the place. And I'm like, damn, holy shit, this guy can punch just standing there. He'd be nice and tall, just big hooks, big right hands. And I'm like, damn. And he would do that straight, no minutes, no nothing. He'd do it for a good 30 minutes. Just pounding, boom, boom. And that was, it came into the fight. You've seen how he was able to do that every round, boom, boom. And
yeah, I'll never forget it when he fought Ray Mancini. Ray was in the fight until he wasn't in the fight. I was like, damn.
When he hit him with that right hand, the double right hand, an uppercut and a straight right hand. That was bad. What was amazing about that is, again, what you said. He's tall. Normally, tall guys can't do that against a short guy in there like that. You know what I mean? Because a short guy could hit him with the hook. You know, that's where, like, Arturo Gatti and all those guys were dangerous. You know, they had a wicked left hook. Julio Cesar Chavez. You know, you can't be throwing wide uppercuts like that to a very good left hooker. You go to sleep on that one. But Arguello was pinpointed with it. They, you know, he would hit him, bring him up, and then just wham.
That guy was special. Yeah. That guy was special. He was special.
See, so now techniques, and I've seen a lot of these guys how they're training now, and I get it. I'm glad that there are certain abilities that these kids can do other things for the future of our boxing. Yeah. But if you look at our boxing, it's very primitive, baby. There's still all those old techniques from way back when. And listen, I was one at my time. Don't get me wrong. I was at those times because I used to hear a lot of those old guys going, shit, I would have whooped these guys' ass, whatever. Then I started thinking, I don't think so. There are some of them, you know, that could be in many places, which are those are the great ones. Yeah. But our and I definitely don't mean no disrespect by this, but all these champions, including myself, you know, we've gone taught a certain thing that these young kids now got a lot more. And if they introduce our stuff, your guys' stuff, you know what they would be able to do? I mean, I know Grandpa real well. Robert Garcia. He's been implementing that a lot in his training with some of his guys. But he also tells me they don't try to do none of the stuff that we used to do, and the training techniques would work for these guys now.
Yes. I think a lot of the guys that are in the limelight today, what I find is some of the guys are not the flashiest, but you know what I've noticed? They've had great trainers.
Yes.
They have really great trainers. For example, I'm looking at the Charlos.
Yes.
Okay, you got Derek James and Ronnie Shields. Those guys are throwback trainers. And they've instilled a level of discipline in that ring with those guys.
Absolutely.
And it shows every time. I haven't seen neither one of the Charlos out of shape in the ring. And disregarding the antics outside the ring, when that bell rings, it's all business.
Yeah,
It's
I agree.
business.
I
The same
100%
All
agree.
business.
The same thing with Errol Spence, and the same thing with Bud Crawford. He has a throwback mentality.
Look at where their trainers come from. Just look at them, and that's why those fighters are like that. And they're going to be
Right.
and that's exciting for the future. Because I mean, those guys are awesome, man. They just Crawford, he does a whole other different level of stuff, and Spence, that guy is just a beast, And I'm always I'm always critical of left-handers because I fought a lot of left-handers. I knocked out 11 of them in my pro career. I knew
11?
I always knew how to fight them.
Wow.
But they are a different species, man. They have a whole different way of doing their training, of how it comes out, the left-handed style, all that. And again, I go back. I may not be that old, but I go back with a lot of these old guys, like Marvelous Marvin Hagler. Just look at that.
Yeah.
This is a lot like that. I mean, that is look how great that champion was, And Spence has that same thing. He got that fight in him, and then has all the talent.
Yeah, nothing flashy. He's just all business, and that's what I appreciate about him. That's what I appreciate.
It's like those times, and on Tuesday night fights, anybody would tune in. Of course, I was a fan of it. Look, man, you knew these fighters were going to come to, get it on, man, and they were going to show our boxing ability because they had the right trainers. They were doing, and the ones that didn't do it, they got knocked out. They know, you could see it. You could see the difference of it.
Yes. Hey, Trick, what you got on this, brother?
Just soaking up. Excuse me. How everybody doing, man?
Everything
Doing
good,
great, brother. Thank you, brother. Trick Nolte always
I'm
coming in the clutch.
Hey, I'm looking at Danny, man. You still look the same, man. You got a scratch on your face.
Yeah, right?
Look at him. Still look the same. Look at him.
Hey,
good, man.
Hey, Mama feeds me pretty good, man. I try to take care of myself as much as possible.
Man, you look good, man. But yeah, we was talking on the phone about a lot of things, man, about where boxing should be going forward. Like a lot of these guys need, and we've spoken on the show before about a lot of these retired fighters need to get jobs. But like in the NBA, when some of them guys retire from basketball, they give them a job like that, whether it's picking water up off the floor or commentating. And I mean, like we were speaking about the judges, like we shouldn't have a guy that owns a golf course out there judging fights and never laced up a pair of gloves before. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
We spoke about that. Now, so I'm definitely pushing for something like that.
Yes. I can tell you this. This goes all the way back to 92 at the Olympic trials. I still got a little bit of because I lost to Santana Lewis. I wanted to be at all that whole thing. And that's when they brought in that whole scoring system. And I remember this was one important change in that. I lost the fight. It was to Santana Lewis at the 92 trials. I lost to 32-16, right? And I was so upset. I came off. I knew I got hit more than 32 times. I definitely knew I hit him more than 16 times. And from then, as stuff has progressed, talking about what we have to get us, the ones that know, that have been in there, and no disrespect, and we're pushing 50 now, but we definitely have to have that taken care of. We can't be having some of these old guys, and I have a lot of respect for some of the old time judges and refs that have been around forever, but that's why all these decisions come out the way they do. If you have these fighters, they know what's happening, they know what's going on, they know how to judge that, and they've been in there. They know what it feels like not to get something that you deserve. And in that whole mindset, I mean, of course, your mentality is you're judging something. I've done a lot of commentary, and I know you guys had Bobby Ches on, and he's a mentor to me. He's very straight up front, and he says stuff how it's supposed to happen, and I like that part of it, where us as fighters or boxing people, like my coach used to say, you got to be around boxing people, because boxing people know they've been around, man. They just know. It doesn't take all this fancy $1 million gyms to make these champions. You gotta be with them 24/7. That's how it works. And cultivate him, mold him, and show him what being that champion's about. So with all that being said, a lot of us know that when we're judging and knowing what they're doing, we can make the right judges for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. What is the criteria to being a boxing judge? Because we've seen some really shaky stuff over the decades, man.
Hey, my man. I didn't even want to get into that. I've seen some crazy stuff too, and I've gone, what the hell are they doing? I worry about our amateur. Our foundations need to be strong, which is at the amateur level, and of course at all our states, and everybody's trying, right? And the only thing I just don't like about how the sport is now, it's all about got to make money. Yes, absolutely. This is about making money. I'm with it. I am one that was taken care of, and I ended up making my money, and everything's fine, and I got a lot of investments and things of that nature. But there is a small window of not being taught about that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And all these coaches want these. They got a little fighter that is very talented. They got to stop looking at the money part of it first, especially with all this social media stuff. I'm not on social media a lot, and it twists the boxer's mind into that, right? And then later on, they're not fighting for what we're all talking about some of these fighters they're not going to be around like that. You've seen a lot of these fighters that are coming and going, and then we don't even know what happened to them. And I don't feel that's too good.
I agree, man. I agree. This is
I got one.
Go ahead, Chick. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got one more question. Danny, I got a question. One more. Just for a second. What can I say it? Break it down a little bit. You had a hometown rivalry with Johnny Tapia. Do you think that hometown rivalries today in boxing should be more? What do you think about that?
Yeah, we always need that. There's always that competitiveness that not only elevates the fighters and elevates the economy, the places where they're at, our boxing. It brings it to that spot of it that everybody's, damn, I want to watch that fight. And, I like this guy, I like that guy, I respect whatever that is. I am for it. Now, there are certain ways, like for me, when we were in that whole rivalry, there was a lot of things that happened that shouldn't happen. But hey, that's boxing, and that's the exciting part of that. And that's the exciting part of the rivalries of things, and I'm all about it.
Well, that's a good question. I see Bruce Gass in the chat. He wanted to know, why was that hometown fight not fought in the hometown?
Well, there was basically not enough money.
Wow. Okay.
So
Yeah.
that was something. At one point, I got blamed on where I was. That I took it out of New Mexico, and I told them, I said, if I had that much power, I would have paid me and Johnny at least 10 million each. and it wasn't none of our decisions. You guys know that. I just was in a situation that the people around me, again, I had been around all that, and again, at those times, I was very much told, you got to get paid for this.
Yeah.
And this is your thing. You've already blown it all up. You've already did all this. Now you go get paid. And so that's where that part of it went. And, the rivalry ended up being, good for New Mexico, because not only some of these fighters here, they got to go, wow, there was Bob Foster in between us. That was a little bit too far. You know what I mean? That's the greatest light heavyweight ever. And there was this too much in between, because our state, we develop a lot of great athletes, not just boxers, but there's a lot of athletes. We've had like Kenny Thomas, Brian Urlacher come out of here, Alonso Jr. and Senior in the racing. We got a whole variety of a lot of badasses here. So again,
Austin
we've
Trout.
had a lot of rivalries here in New Mexico that has helped everything, not only the athletes, but the economy and people that are just very respectful of all the athletes.
That makes sense. My brother Devon Saints in the building, man. Salute, bro.
Salute, gentlemen. Danny,
How you doing, my man?
It's all good, man. Good to be a part of this, man. Shout out to Trick as well for organizing this.
Yes.
I was a kid watching Danny, do his thing. And I heard you mention earlier, Danny, that you're in Phoenix, Arizona right now. Did I hear that right?
No. I'm here in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Okay, cool.
We have some businesses all over the place. Talking about Phoenix, that's Michael's place. Michael Carbajal, baby.
Yeah. Well, I'm from Phoenix.
There you go. So
Yeah. So
Benavides is out there. I mean, talking about New Mexico, Arizona, all it's just like anything else, man. I remember we were always used to fighting, here on the east, the West Coast and the Southwest. And then when we would go back east to go fight at the Nationals, it was a whole different type of fighters. You know what I mean? And it was a whole type of scenery. That was talking about what we're supposed to do for our fighters to show them what the next history is going to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those are the things we need to do.
Yeah, and I wanted to touch on what you guys were talking about earlier before I came in, and the development of the youth in boxing gyms. Me growing up on kind of like the west side of Phoenix, it wasn't very many white dudes boxing at that time in the early 90s. It was mostly Hispanics, and I grew up in that environment where it was like, you got to come into the gym, you put in that work, put on your hard hat, like Stormy said. And we don't play around, and for me as a kid growing up, kind of underprivileged, kind of had to earn my way, boxing was like a family to me. It gave me some type of like future that I felt like, oh, I might be able to do this. You grow up watching guys like yourself and Tapia and Duran and hearing my dad talk about all these great fighters.
Yes.
And I wanted to get your thoughts on the shift, right? Where I'm sure when you were a kid, when I was a kid, it was more about, getting away from the streets, finding something that gives you a bit of stability. And like I said, family. And then also the idea of glory, right? Of being the best, improving, and having that support system around you, where now I go into the gym and it's just a different vibe. I don't know. I just get a different vibe from the youth today, where now you get a mixture of, when I went to the gym here recently in Phoenix, they were doing a sparring session and they brought in this young, like 14 or 15-year-old kid to come in and do sparring. And I guess he had been talking some shit in the gym for a couple of weeks. So they finally said, all right, man, here's some gloves, let's spar. Well, needless to say, he got beat up pretty badly. And so I was watching it, and I had mixed emotions. Like, I get the idea of like, oh, you think you're tough, let's do it. But at the same time, we don't know this kid's background and what he really desperately needs.
Right.
And now that he's been embarrassed and beat up in sparring, he's probably never going to come back to the gym ever again.
Oh, man.
Right. So now that kid goes back to the streets. Now he's upset. Now he's angry. Now we haven't developed what we need to develop, what we're trying to accomplish here. So I just want to get your thoughts on that.
Wow, that's a great question. Okay. You know, I have a children's program that is a continuation of what my coach started many years ago. And again, just what you just explained about it. It was a gym in the barrio that, you know, it was just for kids to come in. They didn't have nothing at their place. It was just an extreme part of their lives that they got to get away from all that negative and all that pressure of whatever bad was happening in their life. They could come to the gym and relax and feel wanted, right? I'm with you on all this because I have seen the steady change of where we used to have all those. I mean, you guys know this. We've had all those guys that come into our gym and they go, oh, I can do this and I could blast you out this or whatever. You know, and if you have the right coaches and the right people in there, they get that kid and cultivate them and going, look, that's not what this is about. There's a respect for one. Two, you just don't get in there to try to throw punches at somebody that's already been trained. My coach always used to tell these guys, look, you got 30 days to train here before there's any type of contact at all. And you learn the discipline of going jab, just like what we talked about a little earlier. And you are right. A lot of these new gyms nowadays, they're trying to, and I get it. It ain't no joke when you go in there, but they are not showing what our boxing's about. It's about a community of doing, being together, right? Not going out and trying to knock them out and showing how badass you are in the ring, because that doesn't mean nothing. Training, that's what it's called. It's training. When you go box and you compete, that's when you're out there kicking ass and trying to knock somebody out. You know, all that training that you did. But again, a lot of these trainers and coaches that have these gyms are not doing that in the communities anymore. Because again, I feel personally, you know, everybody's after this quick fame and quick buck type of thing instead of cultivating what you just said about bringing in that kid. And we don't know what happened to him. You know, what I've learned about all this whole stuff, if you give some love, some encouragement, those kids are going to go out and do the right thing because they'll listen. I mean, you give them some rough stuff, you do all that, and you bang them out a little bit more than what he's already been happening to him in his life. Guess what's going to happen? That's what's happening in our society nowadays. And our boxing used to get a lot of those ones like that were not necessarily rough, badass fighters or anything. They were just in a difficult situation and didn't know that there was love out there for them.
Right.
When we go to
and I think people forget that boxing is a martial art. It is a form of combat, no different than MMA, karate, taekwondo, or any of that shit, right? But the difference, like for me, I look at it as like this. I never became a professional boxer, but because I grew up in the boxing gym, I learned the sense of community. And when you come from a broken home like I did, you always will have that bond. Now at 36 years old, I can go into any boxing gym around the world, put on some gloves, and I feel like I'm at home. And the skills that I learned as a kid stays with me forever. And if you don't learn that type of mentality as a young kid, where that's what boxing or any combat sport should teach you, then you're doing it all wrong, in my opinion.
Absolutely. It's all about, you got to show respect for our sport, you know, and that is a huge thing that is missing right now. If we can keep pushing that would be a wonderful asset to what's going to happen for the future for our sport, and we can keep doing all this, you know, and keep having shows.
Let me chime in here too. Everything you guys are saying is absolutely correct. I got away from the smaller weight classes for a while. I went back. Well, first of all, let me be honest. Boxing pisses me off today. Boxing completely pisses me off today because we don't get what we want as supporters. And I mean, my God, there's just a lot of things. You know, we're on YouTube right now. There's a racial thing going on, you know, with some people and stuff. It's just ugly. It's gotten ugly.
Oh, yeah, man.
Boxing turned me off. I'll give you an example. Guillermo Rigondeaux completely shut him out. His best win against Nonito Donaire was his worst loss.
Yep.
Because he beat him.
But looked like a guy. Hey.
And then everyone ducked him openly.
Yeah.
And he never got a shot. He had to go up like 2 weight classes, lose to the bigger guy. A fight that I attended in Lomachenko, lost to him, and then they stripped him for a belt that he never lost in the ring.
Yeah.
And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, it might have been a WBO who did that. I don't remember. But it was just so enraging. But every now and again, you see something that brings you back a little bit. And I'm a sucker. I call us, we're battered spouses of the sport. As much as we say we hate it, we come back. We keep coming back.
Yeah.
Why do you keep coming back to the person that beat you? Because it loves me. That's us. You know, the love is unconditional.
Yeah.
Now, I want to talk about, for example, I watched Bam Rodriguez last night. Holy shit.
Yeah.
He is holy shit good. I like what I saw last night. Salvador, he has a great hook. He did it like several times. And Sarung Basai is a dog. Bam has this thing where he catches the punch and then throws the hook right off of it.
He gets hit on the left-handed side. Yep. Boom.
And then just hooks, and then he pivots so well. And one of the knockdowns, Sarung Basai got hit, but it was more or less that Bam pivoted so well.
He pivoted nice
position.
hook. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And
He
I said,
pivoted
holy,
nice to the hook, yeah.
who's training Bam? Who's in his camp?
Grandpa, Robert Garcia.
Let me tell you something. I've had some shit about Robert, but I'm not going to say anything about his the way he trains.
Yeah. Listen,
Bam is scary good.
you know what the one thing about Grandpa is, whatever all the whole shit is, the one thing that he does do is that he is with the fighter 24/7. He trains with them. You know, he's like what his pop did with Fernando and all those other guys. He had Shibata. He had some badass champions back in the days, and they're still talking about trying to do what we were doing at those times, just being disciplined all the way through camp, not doing so much of all this social media, focusing on your sport, focusing on your ability. So when you go show yourself on TV like he did, he looked badass. I mean, look at what he did to him.
Man, and people forget, man, Sarung Basai, he
no
slept Chocolatito badly.
It was no fight, and you guys know this, no fight is easy. But there are certain spots when you get in there that everything just rolls and goes your way. And he had Chocolatito's number, no matter what. I mean, you could tell.
Bam was never in any trouble. His footwork, that's the first thing when I'm seeing a fighter, when I'm like really, really paying, because I knew about him, but last night I came in like in wee hours in the morning. I said, let me watch the fight from its beginning. The first thing I noticed was his footwork.
Yeah.
He was never out of position.
Nope.
He kept Sarung Basai guessing and guessing and guessing. And the way he was catching that and throwing the hook off the jet, oh my God. I said, man, look at this kid go. My God.
Every time he'd catch it, and he'd hurt him with it. Just catch him, boom, every single time.
He stopped Sarung Basai. That's a feat. That is a major feat, man. This kid, he got my attention last night. He really got my attention last night, and I'm looking forward to see what's next for him, man. Total props to him.
And everything I know about that kid from San Antonio, he is Rodriguez. They go back to I believe it's his uncle. I think we fought in the sports festival in '88 together. So they've been around, you know what I mean? And so they're showing that kid all the old school stuff, and I mean, he's world champ. So, and then again, look who he just beat.
Man, I can't wait to see what's next for him.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what's next. I really appreciate Bam. Stormy, what did you think about Bam Rodriguez last night?
Man, it was an amazing performance by Rodriguez. He showed ring generalship. He showed boxing IQ. He showed a sense of desire, aspiration, something that is not really prevalent in the sport of today, even amongst guys who are far more experienced than he. What I took away from this victory that he had is more telling about Robert Garcia's responses to the fight happening within itself. Robert was concerned. He stated that. But the fact that Jesse wanted this fight, because he said it right after he won the title. He's like, that's who I want.
He wants to fight him. Yeah.
I want Rung Visa. You know, when a guy has that type of approach where he's looking to challenge himself right away because he's confident in his own ability, that's a guy to keep your eye on.
Yeah.
And I spoke about it last night and this morning on both of my post-fight show and in my morning call-in show. I likened it to someone like Kobe Bryant. You know, Kobe, when he got to the league, all he wanted to do was show everybody how good he was. But, you know, the coaches were holding him back. Remember, at first he was coming off the bench and stuff like that. But once he got that chance to be in the game, he said, I'm going to make it where they don't want to take me out of the game. That's what you saw in Rodriguez's performance last night. Nobody who watched that fight can tell me that they can't wait to see that kid again.
He's an exciting fighter, absolutely. And then, again, the credentials of what he just did right now will move him into other stuff.
Yeah.
If he keeps in doing what he's doing, I mean, that's a great fighter in the making right there.
What's next for him now at this point? For Bam?
You know, I think personally, you know, he already took on the big badass right now, right? Let's just keep walking down those steps and get them all out of there. He'll prove what. See, those talking about what you said earlier, I heard you say that about the little guys, and a lot of the fight have been taken out of all the little guys. You know what I mean? And
yes.
Now a fighter like him, like this Rodriguez, can bring that whole excitement back a little bit because he's a real fighter coming from old school stuff. You know what I mean? And he's trying to prove what he can do, and he just did it last night. I mean, he's a world champion already, but to fight a fighter like that, trust me, that stuff is difficult.
Yeah.
Listen, no arrogance,
Right,
no
right.
showboating, all business. And when the referee stopped the fight, the first thing he did was fall to the floor in happiness and elation because he was so wound up to get the job done that all he could do was collapse. And, you know, just that lets me know he's a genuine kid. See, these are the kind of things I look for, you know. And earlier in the night, you had another young fighter, featherweight, that kid, what's his name? Raymond Ford. He's in there. He's mean mugging the guy. He's playing around. He's a very talented guy. But you got to take care of business, man.
Yes.
You got to take care of business. Yeah, you went the distance with the guy and all of that. But that should have been someone you should have been able to close the door on. And maybe if you put the same type of energy into the efforts of your craft, instead of looking to try to embarrass someone or clown them or whatever, maybe you can take that next step. But see, those kind of problems early on will be the very thing that make him have a setback.
Yes.
You see, and these are the type of things I talk about all the time. Yes, I can break things down and give you an assessment, but I'm also going to give you the facts. And sometimes, and especially in this era, the facts are hard to digest.
Yeah, man.
Because it's ugly.
It's not facts.
And the ugliness comes from you. It don't come from me. You know what I'm saying? So you got to clean your act up. I've been praising this kid with the victory from last night because I will say this. He made it look easy, but it wasn't easy. He did everything that you're supposed to do. I marveled at him being defensively responsible in everything he was doing. Rungvisai couldn't even touch him.
No, he couldn't touch him. No.
Now, once a guy, and that was what made Mike Tyson so good early in his career, his elusiveness. People would throw shots at him trying to get him, but they couldn't hit the guy. And then he's hitting you, and the next thing you know, he's putting you on the defensive and you can't hit him back. Psychologically, you break down. That's exactly what happened to Rungvisai, because Rungvisai threw punches with bad intentions, but he might as well have been swatting at flies at a picnic. You understand? Because he wasn't there to be hit. He wasn't there for any receipts, but Rungvisai was catching everything. And he had a mental break at a point. It was in the round before he got stopped.
Round seven.
He had a mental break. The mental break said, you know what? I can't beat this kid. I saw it. And then the next round, what happened so magnificently from Jesse was able to pick up on it. And he turned the heat up. And as soon as he turned the heat up, the referee jumped in and stopped it. The fight was over like that. That is a complete fighter. And he's young.
He's gonna be moving up on the pound list pretty soon, y'all.
Yeah, he will. He'll be there.
He'll be moving pound list pretty soon.
Matter of fact, I'm watching some of the fights on TV. Look, you know, it reminds me. It reminds me. I remember when I fought Harold Gray, and I had moved up weight, and Harold Gray was in the top, whatever it was. He was in the pound for pound. He was the champion when I moved up, and I got him out of in 2 rounds, right? And he was supposed to be the badass. And it's the same thing that what you guys are saying right here about Rodriguez. Look, that whole scenario will take him to that next level because now he'll feel 100% that he's the legitimate champion. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That lasts a whole other different level of stuff.
You know what else impressed me about Dan? I'll give it to you in a second, Devon. What impressed me was that, and I always look out for this. When he had Sarung Vasai hurt, he didn't just run in. He came in there with a high guard and very disciplined. And you listen, you could teach that in the gym, but when it actually happens, it has to be second nature. This kid, man, I got my eye out on this kid, man. And I'm not gonna say I'm putting him on a super duper pedestal right now. But I got my eye on this kid. This kid, if I'm gonna make a decision about him now, the next 24 months or so, this kid is gonna be like in the top 5 pound for pound, depending on how everything plays out with everybody else on it right now. Because this kid is scary good, man. This kid is scary good. There were things that I saw this morning in that fight that I said, "Oh shit." And the way he celebrated at the end, I don't even think he realized what he was doing until he was actually doing it. So
why do you think I said what I said? I did not just said that. When the referee stepped in to stop that fight, you saw his reaction. It wasn't brandishing around like I'm the big bad wolf or whatever. It was like, I did it. You know what I mean? Because he rolled the dice on himself. He told Robert, I want that fight. Robert was like, I'm nervous about this. He's like, you're picking one of the biggest, baddest wolves out in the forest. You know what I'm saying? And to see that now, Danny will understand this when I make this remark. With that type of win under his belt, what does that do to his confidence now?
Like I told you, you know, when it makes you feel, when you start feeling a legitimate world champ, That's a whole other different level of stuff. Because I'm telling you, when I won my first world title, I I was 20 years old. I was a young kid, making money, and I knew I was doing something good. Not until I won my second world title when I fought Harold Gray, all in the same scenario of what Rodriguez did. Because at that time, I had an eye injury, and Top Rank wanted me to fight somebody else, and I told him I wanted the best guy. I'm moving up weight, and the best guy was Harold Gray at that time. So I said I need to prove something, because what had happened, I had that eye injury with Willie Salazar, and I said that was all a fluke. And so right after that, just like what Rodriguez did, he will feel legitimately nobody can beat him. And that's a dangerous fighter right there, a dangerous champion.
Yeah, man. So, Divine, you were saying something earlier?
Yeah, I just want to ask Danny's opinion on something. I don't really get a chance to ask professionals or former professional boxers this question because it's a huge debate here amongst us content creators on YouTube. Do you think that heavyweights should be on the pound for pound list?
Yes, I do, because I've been around a lot of the big guys, and majority of everybody that I've been around do as much as us, as much as the little guys. So they're doing a lot of different things, and I get what you're trying to say on the pound for pound about how good they're supposed to be, where they're at, who they competed against. That pound for pound thing is a huge mark, and the top that are there, these heavyweights nowadays, they're monsters. They're big, man. It's crazy. And I look at it because I've known Lennox Lewis forever, and when you guys, I'm sure you guys been next to Lennox. Lennox is a big old boy, and yeah, some of these other guys make him look small, and I'm going, man, the athleticism of what these guys have, that's pretty difficult for them to do what they do, right? So they deserve to be in there. Now, depends who they're fighting to and what they're doing in their lives, and what they're doing in their careers. That's what I do believe. I believe the heavyweights do deserve to be in there. They just have to, do as much as everybody else is doing, or competing and trying to fight who everybody else is fighting,
So your standpoint is because the heavyweight champions are so athletically gifted for their size that they should be considered on the pound for pound list. Is that what you're saying essentially?
Kind of. There are. This is the way I look at it. Those heavyweights, I like Tyson Fury. I know a couple of his trainers, and I know how hard he's trained and all that whole thing. And what were we just talking about? If we're into these fighters that are doing all the right thing, and just like how Bam did it and all that whole thing, we're big fans of that. I know a lot of these heavyweights are trying to be the same way. You understand what I mean? Mm-hmm. And in that aspect of it, I do appreciate that, and I'd like them to be considered the same thing.
Interesting. Yeah, I appreciate your opinion, because like I said, it's a huge talking point here, especially on YouTube. People, I know Drew's got his own pound for pound list. I have my pound for pound list, and it's always one of those things where, do you put a heavyweight on there? It's like, do you compare a Tyson Fury to a guy who comes up from bantamweight, who's went up multiple weight classes, right, and conquered multiple weight classes? So you look at ESPN or any of these big media outlets, more times than not, they do have heavyweights on the pound for pound list, and sometimes even 2 or 3 heavyweight fighters on the pound for pound list, on the top 10 list. So
the reason why I say that too, at time in my career, I was pound for pound the biggest puncher, and I remember one time messing around with Mike Tyson about it, and I was giving him my magazine. I said, "Hey, you got to sign it." I had beat him. As a matter of fact, he was like number 3. I think Tito was number 2, and the reason why I say that, they were rating us with even the heavyweights. I was at that time, I think I had the title at 115 pounds, whatever it was, 122 pounds. And I appreciated that. It actually made me feel more legitimate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how personally I felt about it. And as I got in there, and you were asking athletes and I appreciate that, my man, because there were certain things in my career that gave me that extra push, just like Bam did, like Rodriguez, all those little things. When I would get voted #1 biggest pound for pound puncher, well, I definitely wasn't going to let down none of my fans and let down myself. All the hard work I did, all that stuff, no matter if it's a heavyweight or not. And again, I talked to these guys and they were thinking the same thing. They didn't give a shit if it was a little weight or not. And that's what I appreciated. The not only the athleticism, but the competition of it.
Yeah. And that's an interesting point, because I remember Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was in an interview one time back in the, I don't know, maybe late 90s. Yeah. And they were asking him his opinion in regards to smaller fighters and their power. And he said that, look, I'm a heavyweight. I'm known for knocking guys out, but I'm telling you right now, there's this guy that maybe some of you guys have forgotten about, and that's Tommy Hitman Hearns. This guy, I've seen him knock out heavyweights in the gym. Mike Tyson said that.
Yeah.
In sparring, he would knock out heavyweights.
Yes, there's Julian Jackson. Oh my God, that dude doesn't knock down this damn house. You know what I mean? No joke. And my man right now could probably still do it. You know what I mean? I mean, there was all those guys like that. I mean, Gerald McClellan. Oh my pop worked
David Tua.
Mitts with him at the training center. This would have been in the mid '80s. And he said he hit so damn hard with those Roosevelt Sanders and all them. Nobody could do the mitts with him.
Wow.
And that's how hard that sucker hit at that time. And for me, like what Mike said, I've been in a lot of meetings when Mike's around, and he says what it's about. I remember one time he was telling, there was a bunch of us there, and he was talking about Edwin Chapo Rosario, of how hard he could hit, because they were working body, him and Tyson. And a lot of us, that we would get in there working body with the coaches would put us in with the bigger guys, so the bigger guys could learn how to move. The little guys are running all around them trying to hit them. I didn't care if I was hitting them in the ass or not. These guys that we were working in there with that were, I remember hitting James Toney, talking about in the ass, I don't know how many times. and they were just slick and move, and you learn and you learn not to get hit. Yeah. Or you learn to take the pain, because I've gotten hit by some of those guys that there was a whole lot of stuff coming out of all ends, brother. and you know what you got to do? You got to move from that spot.
You got to roll it.
Go it again. Yes.
You got to roll it. I remember. I don't want to call this a ripoff, but I remember, where the hell was I? I saw Bruce Seldon hitting pads before the Mike Tyson fight. And I remember watching him, and let me tell you guys something. You always know an athlete when you see one.
Yeah.
And I don't care how big or small they are, because they're built different. I've seen Michael Phelps up close. He's built different. He looks elongated because he's in the goddamn water all the time. Or that swimming, his lateral spread is retarded. I said, what the fuck? He look like an alien, right? A professional bodybuilder would look funny to you, because he, so I saw Bruce Seldon, and I'm watching him hit the pads. It was so precise, and the snap on it was like pop, 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 pop. I said, oh shit. And I said, man, you know what? He might give Mike a problem. Yeah, Bruce Seldon. Remember him? Give Mike a problem?
I was at that fight. I was there at that fight when Mike and them fought. Yeah.
Isn't that the fight where Charles Barkley went and said, I went to go get some popcorn? He came back. The fight was already over. I was like, what the fuck? That's crazy.
Up and he was all pissed off because the fight was over. Yeah. He was sitting right behind us.
My God, man. But
the funny thing about Bruce Seldon was this. He was more talented than Mike Tyson.
Absolutely.
Of course, yeah.
He had no when you talk about the character of a man, he had no business being in the ring with the type of character and disposition that he had, you know.
Yeah.
But his talent, there probably during that era, there probably wasn't a more talented fighter, talent wise,
Yeah.
than what he brought. The size, the strength, the power. That man, listen, his greatest effort was the night that he defeated Tony Tucker.
Tony Tucker, yeah.
Okay. But it was also one of the finest boxing exhibitions you would have ever tuned into in a heavyweight fight. If you looked at him on that night, once he got going and got into his groove and the rhythm of that jab, Tony Tucker took a worse beating from him than he did from Buster Douglas, who had similar talent. And we know how that fight ended up going. But Bruce Seldon, on that night, he almost made me a believer. You know what I'm saying? When he defeated Tony Tucker. And I was thinking, I was like, okay, when they signed the fight to fight Tyson, I'm like, is he going to come to fight or is he going to come to lay down? That was going into that fight. I was wondering about that. And of course, we know the rest is history. When Evander Holyfield says, it don't look like the punch landed. You saying, Evander, it looked like it landed?
He did this?
He said, no, it didn't.
He did this, remember?
Yeah.
He did this.
Yeah. And the whole thing, it's like, come on, man. But the man has such talent. Even against Riddick Bowe, same thing. He went in there against Bowe, and for whatever reason, he decided not to fight. And he pulled some kind of crap. And I was like, man, what is wrong with this kid?
Wasn't he like a smaller heavyweight as well?
Man, that dude was 6'2" and 238 pounds.
Yeah, he was big.
He was like my size, exactly. And the guy's
muscle.
big.
He was big, man. I got
like
to
a
see him
shorter
work
version of Frank Bruno.
Yes.
Yes.
Like
I got to see him work out over there in New York. We were at I believe at the Jamaica gym out there in
Queens.
And in Queens, and I remember watching him work, just like what you just said. I mean, wicked jab, just had all the tools. Has the physical looks.
He was menacing.
He could move. He had good footwork. I mean, it just wasn't up here. It just wasn't up here. There are guys who would kill for the talent that he had.
That was all natural ability.
He just didn't have the mental ability to be at that world-class level. That's the matter of fact, that's what we're talking about. Those are the next levels. Like we're talking about Rodriguez earlier. That's where the level that he's gonna have to push himself to get. You know what I mean? And he already showed a big part of it last night. So all those guys, I remember seeing all those guys at that time that had all that. Do you remember Henry Akinwande?
Yes.
Do you remember him?
Yes.
That was one of those big giants at that time that weren't around. I think he was like 6'7" or whatever he was, and had everything too, could punch and just,
Let me go back because I want to respond to my brother Don Zebe in the chat. He with the pound for pound thing. I like to leave it at the basics because a lot of the pound for pound lists that we look at today, they are factoring in things that have nothing to do with fighters. I've seen pound for pound lists where they factor in revenue generated, and I'm like, come on, like, come on.
It don't work that way. No.
Yeah.
Some
pound for pound,
some of the greatest fighters ever like that will never. There's a guy by the name of Carlos Zarate that has one of the greatest knockout ratios ever, and all that whole thing. Could box. He fought some of the greatest from Gomez to Pintor and all those guys. And for me in my life, I was always, you imagine yourself who you can box and who you can get in there with and what you can do and what you can't do. And that guy in my life had always been somebody that I would have I don't know what I think I'd have got knocked out because I would have try to hit him. You know what I mean? And those are one of those scary guys. You know what I mean? And so all those never get their, not only how great they were, or how good of a boxer they could have, they were. That's where the sad thing's at, and that's where people like you. I love this, man. You guys are doing a wonderful job. I respect you guys.
We appreciate that, man. We appreciate that. We keep it fair, and we want to give everyone their due credit. Like we're talking about Bam, he completely impressed me tonight, and now I'm gonna watch him some more. Yeah. Pound for pound, for me, the reason why I don't have heavyweights on the pound for pound list is because the fighters that are not heavyweights are being compared to the baddest man in the world, which is supposed to be the heavyweight champion. The difficulty is there's so many goddamn belts out there and different champions. In the heavyweight division, we now have two main guns up there. You had Tyson Fury, who says he's retired, and you got Alexander Usyk, who has 3 belts. He has to get past Anthony Joshua, and he already beat. I mean, to be honest, he just beat AJ's ass.
Yep.
In the last part of that fight, almost knocked him out in the 12th round.
Yep.
So this is why I don't have heavyweights on that list. It's no shade to what they've accomplished. I know they work just as hard as the smaller guys, but the smaller guys, they're supposed to be compared to the heavyweight champion of the world. Muhammad Ali said that. He says, I'm the baddest heavyweight in the world, but pound for pound, Ray Robinson is the best in the world. That's what Ali said. So, right now, I look at a list like, well, it's politics. I'm looking at ESPN's pound for pound list, and it's atrocious. You got 2 heavyweights on there. You got a drug cheat on there, and everything else is negotiable. So, right now, every time someone fights, you get a look at it. Now, like right now, we watched Bam last night, right? For example, this is just an example. Now, pound for pound, an ant is stronger than an elephant because an ant can lug 8 times its own body weight. So pound for pound is stronger than the elephant, but in real life, an elephant could squash an ant. So it makes you wonder if Bam and Alexander Usyk were the exact same size, who would win that fight? He can compete.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Same thing. If Tyson Fury, with all that height, because a lot of his talent is his size. He's 6'9", 300 pounds. You shrink him down and put him in front of Bam at the same size. Could he beat Bam?
Could he beat Bam? I agree.
If you shrink him down in the heavyweight division, he gets knocked the hell out.
Boom. That's a true story.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Because it's hard to train to fight a guy that's 6'7", whatever he is. I don't say 6'9" because I don't believe he's that damn tall. But anyway, the fact that if you shrunk him down to a more manageable size, even 6'4", he gets knocked the hell out by a lot of different dudes.
Right. Y'all remember Nikolai Valuev?
Yes.
That guy was 7 feet tall, and he was light on his feet.
Yeah, he can move and stuff.
Yeah, he can move. And to this day, I think one of the greatest performances I've seen was when he fought David Haye. Yeah. David Haye was on his A game that night. Yeah. He was on his A game. I said, "Oh shit,
that was a rough fight." I do.
Yeah. So that's just my thing with pound for pound. I'm gonna put together my own list. I've been telling the audience I'm gonna do it. I might do it. I'm gonna do it. I know, me too. Yeah, I'm gonna do a pound for pound list, man.
You guys gotta keep doing all that to keep our boxing going, baby. You guys know your shit, man. You guys got to keep doing that because it helps not only our sport, but it helps these other fighters and fighters like myself, ex-fighters that's going, all right, got the right guys there.
Thank you. Is there anything that you see in the sport today that you would personally make better?
I think what is happening, changing. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, all my people hear me around here. I don't like the change of the boxing part of it. But if you look at it, I remember at my time, right in '92, when we came out, all the guys that were in '88 and all that stuff were telling us certain things, right? What we needed to do, what we not needed to do. And then I started to think at that time that while this whole new thing of us being on camera and doing a lot more commercials and stuff of that nature is going to help boxing because we're going to talk good about it, right?
Right.
Well, that part of it has gone into a whole other different weird shit now. You know, everybody on this damn Instagram and I want to fight this guy. Look, we fight here, baby. We get on, you know, and make some good boxing for the fans that are big fans of ours, you know, of the sport. And keeping it that way would be wonderful. But the change of it, I think you guys are doing it. I mean, talking about it now, having it, having talking about BAM, talking about these new good strong champions that are going to be around for a while, will change all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. And this is all we can do. I
Yes.
mean, a lot of people in what we call old media, they talk down on us. They really do. But we're the guys that supported what they did.
Yes.
We're the guys that, like I said, Tuesday night fights, Friday night fights, HBO Boxing After Dark. You know, we the guys that scrapped up our last pennies to go to these fights and sit in the goddamn nosebleeds.
Yep.
We were the guys doing that, and now we have a voice. And when we see things that are wrong, we speak up on it.
Got to do it. Yes, keep doing it. And you know, some of the old fighters like myself, man, they have a lot to say, and a lot of them have a very good things to say and help our boxing. You know what I mean?
Right, man. That's all we could do, man.
Yes.
I wanted to talk to you about you know, Johnny Tapia.
Yes, sir.
All right. That was well, take me through that. Take me through that from beginning to end.
Well, so the craziest thing about that whole rivalry what we had, me and Johnny have known each other since. See, I started boxing when I was 5 years old. I think he started at about 8 or so, and he came to train for my pops. Let's see, I would have been probably about 9 or 10, and you know we had a good relationship. I mean, here in New Mexico, of course, he was a good boxer, you know, good amateur, and went on to do the pros. And there's, you know, as our rivalry started happening, as I started to come out and make a big deal in the pros, obviously he was here and became champion. And as it rose as of us being, you know, two great champions from the same city, same state, literally, we grew up about, I don't know, maybe about 4 blocks away from each other, literally. And that whole when the boxing started to come out here, and of course, man, it was pumped up. We wanted to kick each other's ass, and we wanted to show who was the best, you know, all that whole thing. And during the fight, you know, Johnny boxed brilliantly. You know, I was so angry and so pissed off. I wanted to hit him hard with every shot. I was calling him all kinds of names to get him to fight, try to break his rhythm, and you know he did a great boxing match. I mean, there's nothing I can say about it. You know, he won the fight, and I did what I thought I could do to win, and you know that's how it came out. And afterwards, after everything calmed down, me and him became friends again, and. But the fight itself was very exciting, and it was a great thing for our state. You know, at the end part of all this is as us being champions again from the same barrio, from the same basically neighborhood, and all the whole thing. You know, we got to prove and show that New Mexico had two great champions that went in and two great champions came out. You know, he won, yeah. But we showed on that evening, especially what had happened with Mike and Evander and all the stuff before us, because our rivalry was kind of the same. There was fights all the time. We were on the airplane. There was some issues, you know.
Yeah.
Hey, we're about fighting.
Was there a hotel incident?
There was hotels incident. There was car incidents. There was a bunch of stuff, man.
What?
There's a lot of things behind the scenes that nobody even knew, and it became a big thing because, of course, again, you know, I read nothing about gangs and anything, but hey, there was two guys that wanted to kick the shit out of each other, and they had their two separate fans, and it was a crazy thing, man.
I know when the fight happened, I remember watching it. I stood up the whole time. And I'm gonna say because Johnny was a little bit more flashy, he won the drama of the fight. I called it a draw. I did call it a draw. I didn't think he won it, but I understood how judging and how the crowd plays in on certain things. You know what I'm saying? I think you were a lot more cleaner in spots, in my opinion. This is just my opinion.
Yeah, no.
And
Hey, listen, guys. I come from a spot of it that my coach. Listen, as much as I won, and as great as all that was, when I lost, look, man, I lost. That's you got to take it that way. And everything that I did in that fight, I can tell you guys, I tried. I trained hard. I did everything right. I tried sticking to my what I was doing every round. Because you guys know this, you have to change every round. That's why you have a bunch of game plans and things of that nature. And then it goes the other way too. Like Mike said, hey, once you get hit in the face, all that shit gets thrown out the window. So
you got
you can see in some of those rounds, I could tell you, like in round 9 and 10, I was just flying elbows. I was trying to throw everything possible, trying to catch him. I was trying to, I was moving around and I was just trying to get to him, and he fights brilliantly. And so,
and speaking about taking a loss, Danny, it's like what I always try to tell people. I'm a personal trainer. It's what I do for a living, and I always tell my clients that when they don't achieve the results they're trying to get, or they look in the mirror and they feel like I'm not making any progress, or even with my own daughter, she's starting to play sports now. The whole idea of teaching winning and losing is sometimes by taking an L, you actually come out of it better.
Yeah.
And what people fail to realize when you look at somebody like Floyd Mayweather, right? 50-0, or some people are, I don't really count the Conor. It's 49-0, whatever. It doesn't matter. As a professional, he didn't lose.
Right.
But you know what? He got robbed the gold medal in the Olympics.
Yep.
Yes.
And people forget about that. Yeah. And that set a fire in Floyd Mayweather. Yeah. And when he came into the professional ranks as Pretty Boy Floyd, he was terrorizing everybody.
Yeah.
He was knocking dudes out.
Yeah,
he was on a mission.
He fought here in Albuquerque. He knocked the dude out. Boom. There was nothing boxing. None of this Philly roll shit. He was there to fight, man.
He had a very he looked a lot more like Roger Mayweather when he was younger.
Yes.
Right.
Wham.
Just line up the right hand, check left hooks, go to the body. And then it wasn't until later where he started looking more like his dad, and doing the shoulder roll and being a bit more defensive. But a lot of people, I tell people this all the time when they talk about Floyd. Yeah, I mean, he's just cut from that cloth, right? He was born to box.
Yes.
As soon as he came into this world, it was already established he was going to be a world champion. But what a lot of people don't realize is that him losing the Olympics like that, whether he was robbed or not, is the fact that he took an L.
Yep.
And that set a fire in him. And so sometimes when we take these losses, we come out of it better. You know what I mean? And I always try to preach that to people.
Absolutely. I'm 100% with you. For me and the losses that I've had in my career, I've had, 3 losses by decision, and the other 2 were eye injuries and stuff like that. And I think about it all the time like that, where was I more gracious at winning or gracious at losing, right? Which one made me the better man? Which one made me the better champion? Which one made me the better champion? And I can tell you now, and don't get me wrong, I was pissed off. I never said lose then, but I look at it now in my life. I go, I gave everything that I could during that fight for not only myself, my fans, my coach, everything, my state, my city, everything that went into that fight. I gave everything I had, and I came out of it feeling content.
Yeah.
Of course, I wasn't satisfied because I didn't win.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And then I had another great champion tell me after fights like that, he said, hey, because, and it was one of them was Roy Jones. He told me, he said, okay, dang, all right, we're saying all this stuff losing, but you just got paid $1 million. So how do you lose at that? And I went, okay, baby, I got you.
Are there
Yeah.
any young guys that you see in the gym with your own two eyes and say, you know what, we're gonna have to watch this guy because this guy's gonna be something great?
Let
Is
me tell
anybody you
you,
got your eyes on?
we have a bunch of them here in New Mexico that are they're doing a bunch of good stuff here, man. They're getting the boxing teams to, be that competitiveness, but know that look, it's a team here. We're going to get to the next spots. And the reason why I love that, because that's where I came from in the early 80s when we used to go on these amateur teams and go to these tournaments. We were Region 9 and we were always with Region 14, New York and all those guys. And it just makes you that much better for them to become champions in the world later on. And that's what we have happening here in New Mexico. There's a couple of girls here that are doing wonderful.
Really?
I am a advocate for all boxers and, around the United States, around the world, because it's given me a life, it's given me friends, it's given me brothers like you guys, for life, and it's one of the best sports ever. So you guys keep supporting it that way. You guys keep saying it. I'm available at any time. So I appreciate you guys.
Man, we appreciate
Yeah, no
you,
problem.
man. Like I said, I'm geeking out, man, because like I said, like we have a bunch of fighters on here, and it's like, man, every time I'm like, shit, I used to watch this guy on Boxing After Dark, and I've watched. I can't tell you how many fights of yours I've watched, man. I can't. I was just watching the you versus Tapia about a week ago, because that's what I do. I don't even watch TV. I just be watching old boxing. This is just what I do, and what I appreciate about social media is that it's given us access
Yes.
to watch these old things and talk to you guys, man.
Yes.
And this is like just brilliant. This is great, man.
And we got to
And
do that. We got to keep perfecting that. We got to look at all those videos. We got to look at all these new guys. So we have the perspective of where it's at. So we know what we're saying, and we can help the next boxers get to that level.
right.
Because listen, there was a lot of part that I come from, and that was another thing. Now I know of a lot of fighters they don't say no to, you know, and I was one of those that was you couldn't do this, you couldn't do that. I was very disciplined because my weight, I was a little short, heavier guy. So I always had to lose weight, or if I had to fight the next weight class up, I mean they were way too big. So I
Right.
had to stay focused and I had to stay disciplined. And if we could show all our fighters like that, then it would be how long that would last. You know
Mm.
how long that would keep going. So let's keep doing that.
You know what else I want to discuss real quick? Um, well, two things. Oh, the brother Bruce Gas wants to know: was there something that happened at the MGM Grand involving y'all camp?
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, he something happened and y'all got your camp. Y'all got put out the MGM.
We what ended up happening is we ended up getting because there was fights happening and everybody
Oh
was
boy.
so they transferred us. We ended up at I think they took us. Oh, we were at Caesars. Yeah, we ended up at Caesars, and
Wow.
and so I've heard of all these crazy stories. Man, you guys got to let me in on some of these. I want to know them too, man.
Yeah, well, that's what he heard.
Yeah. I
Another
can
thing.
confirm it or deny it. And some of them I was there, and some of them I was, I don't know, trying to make weight. I think.
I know how it goes. I know how it goes. The other thing is, we're an advocate for the fighters being taken care of. We had Angel Man Freddie on the show about a year ago now, and we frequently have Reggie Johnson on here. And um, one of the things that's like heartbreaking is when we see the fighters that we've been watching for years, and they're not doing too well because you guys you guys do this for a living and you choose to do it, and it's not safe. It's not normal to go in there and get hit upside your head. It's not normal. And we had Angel on here, and he's not doing too well, man. And I would love to see a pension plan for fighters. And I know that some fighters are blessed where they've made a few $1 million in their payday or whatever. And it's their responsibility once you get the money to maneuver it properly. But not every fighter has people around them that has their best interest in hand. My question to you is, what could boxing do as far as setting up a pension plan or retirement fund for fighters individually? What would it take?
On that, I'm a businessman here in my own little state, and again, I'm learning all this in my life. I am like Socrates, baby. I'm a 2-year-old. I'm trying to learn all the stuff, and what I mean by that is it's in all my life since I've been 5 years old, I have been training and taught it and focused on a certain thing all my life for boxing, right? And when my career started to come to an end in my late 30s, I got to one of my business partners that is with me today. And again, the only reason why I have money today is him. I own a lot of parking lots and a lot of property. And
good.
That part of it, it's taken me right now the last 6 years of my life to try to learn all the things, because my guy gave me my keys and said, here's all your companies. Now go try to figure out what you did.
Oh, sure.
And it was the best thing, because it was like starting boxing over again, right? Okay. The reason why I'm saying all this is because I believe it was in the early 90s. They tried getting a pension together, or a whole group. Matter of fact, we got to meet Jimmy Hoffa Jr. and
What?
They put a lot of us. I mean, there was guys like Shannon Briggs. There was a lot of us there that they were trying to put together something for us, right? And it just didn't get right. And there was a lot of people's hands in it. Again, I was gifted enough to have a coach and a business partner of mine that were all about me to have money. When I end this, what I made in my career, I still have, and I've made a lot more from what I made in my boxing career. Only that was the starting base, And so with that being said, all these fighters now today should immediately think where's their name at on their checks, not nobody else's name on their checks. They got to know what's happening, where their money is at. They can go right to the IRS themselves and go, help me with this. If they have $100,000, $200, whatever it is. I learned that personally. I went with a check of about $500,000 and I said, what do I do? And, I invested it, and of that part of it, I made about $4 or $5 million off of that. And that was off of the fight that I fought Miguel Martinez. And anyway, those are the scenarios I believe have to happen for the next fighters, right? Now, for what some of us that need help, like Angel, he was at the same time with me. I remember all those things. I remember this one meeting. It was at the time that Cedric was touting us. He was with Cedric Kushner, and we were all eating there and they were getting ready to fight Diego Corrales, or they were going to make the fight with Diego Corrales. Yeah. And I remember him asking people on the side of us about what are they going to do with the money and all that. And again, I was in the same position. I just had guys that were going, make sure you're looking at it. This is your check. This is what you're doing. If you spend $400,000, you still owe $233,000 because you owe taxes, stuff like that.
Yes.
And that was very important to me. And that right there would be huge for our next fighters and for fighters that do need help. People like myself, fighters like myself that are financially okay, definitely have to step up. I do a lot of stuff with John Scully.
That's the guy. He's a friend of the show.
Yes,
John Scully's a friend of the show. Yes,
he's an old school. I mean, the stuff he's doing for Pritchard and for Benitez. And as a matter of fact, I took a fighter to fight Pritchard, and there's his dad was such a wonderful man, the fighter himself, and we as fighters know when we step in there, this is the danger.
Yeah.
But when that danger happens, something has to be there for them. there's very few of us that there's something there for them. And we gotta brainstorm. And again, I am calling on some of my friends, which I have said, I put my money where I talk. I donated up to date. I've donated about $4.5 million to a lot of different organizations that will help athletes like that. But I definitely want to be, involved with that, whatever I can do. And again, I believe we should be walking around like 2-year-olds. We're like Socrates, baby. We don't know nothing. We got all this experience. Now let's go out and try to help, and let's do this because we know what to do.
Yeah, I agree, man. Because
it's sad.
Angel's another guy that I grew up watching, and when he was on the show, it was heartbreaking.
Yes,
because he's not. This is not the guy I grew up watching. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and I was like, man, god damn, man.
I gotta tell you guys the story. So after I won the first world title, I hadn't been to the Hall of Fame, and matter of fact, Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, him and my coach I believe it was like 92, 93, they went, and so when I won that first world title, I was the first American flyweight in 63 years to win that title. They asked for all my stuff to be put in there and all the good stuff, right? And I was so pumped up. I had just signed with HBO. I was one of all those things. And when they took me over there to Canastota, it was one of the first times and I've been around all these fighters anyway, but it was a weird thing that I got to see them in an element that I got to see how difficult things were. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
And when I got to see the mongoose, when they were picking them up and trying to move them, it broke. Yeah. It tore me up, man. It fucked me all up in a whole different ways that I went, whoa. Is that what we're gonna be first? Then it went, wait, that is us. That's my brother there, man. Then I was at the inductee for when they did Don King, and Muhammad was there. Marvelous Marvin Hagler was there, and there was guys there, and then there was some of the other bros that were there that I got to see. That I went, we need help. We need help. Even myself for the future. You know what I mean? So whatever we can do, I am a part of it, and I don't have no answers to do that, but I know money helps, and I know us as fighters, if we're focused on that, we'll help them.
Yeah, man. Boxers, your guys are an alumni. I mean, you guys are paid to risk it all in the ring, but at the end of the day, depending on who it is, there's no hard feelings. This is a business. Once if you make it to 12 or wherever it ends, once it's over, it's over. It's in the books already.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The only thing is that I would love for, like what you guys are saying, we got to find something, a pension for them. We got to find a program for us, whatever it is, and there are many. We just got to keep, you guys got to keep talking. We got to keep coming on here, and that's how it gets going.
Yeah. There's something in the state of California, and Reggie Johnson, and how many rounds they said Reggie Johnson was short of getting a damn pension out of California? 2 rounds.
2 rounds, I believe. Yeah.
What the fuck is he gonna do at over 50 years old? Come out and fight those damn 2 rounds for a goddamn pension?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
I know about that because I fight in California and all that, and I think my agent they said I'm like 14 rounds away or some shit, and I went,
what?
It's crazy shit.
Oh my god!
I fought there quite a bit,
My God. You fought there quite a bit, and they still telling you you're 14 rounds short.
I was one of the first ones that reopened the Olympic Auditorium. I fought there quite a few times. I actually knocked out Brian Lonan to win the NABF title in 92, 93.
The NABF.
They reopened the Olympic down there.
Yeah.
I was the first fighter on ESPN that did that, and then I fought Hugo Torres over there too. I knocked him out in the second round.
Good
Crazy ass
man.
Mexicans, baby. They love all those knockouts. Wham! Hey, absolutely, baby. Romero.
Man, but you know what I used to say? I used to tell my boys all in the 90s. I said, you know what the heavyweight division needs? They said, what? I said, I'd love to see a heavyweight Mexican.
Yes.
And they said, why? I said, you know what? Can you imagine a fucking over 6 foot tall, 230-pound guy that fought like Marco Antonio Barrera? Can you imagine that shit? I said, that'd be a problem.
Hey, us Mexican Americans, we don't grow that big, man. All of a sudden, just like what's the name? Damn, I said, what the hell did you get? Where did you get that big? You're not really from Mexico, man.
Well, I thought we had it when Chris Arriola got big. I said, oh shit. I said, here we go. Unfortunately, he came in during the Klitschko era.
Yeah.
I said, you know, jab straight hold, jab straight hold.
I've always. My grandfather was a professional fighter. He was a big old Mexican. He was 6'4", 240 pounds.
Damn.
I didn't get his size, baby. I got his strength. But my son's a big old boy. My wife is real tall, and maybe we got one of those coming out later on. I mean, Andy already got that part of it, but
oh man, let me tell you about Andy Ruiz. I'm in New York, right? So I'm not a huge AJ guy for other purposes. It has a lot to do with Eddie Hearn and whatever.
I got you.
So I was standing by Big Baby Miller. Big Baby he's really a big guy. I'm 6'2", I'm not small. Miller's all of 6'5". He's a really big and wide guy, right? So when he got the AJ fight, I said, yes, he gonna fuck AJ up, right? And then he popped dirty for like 14 different PEDs. And I said, God damn, man. I mean, I don't like AJ. What the fuck are you trying to do? Kill him? Relax. So then enter Andy Ruiz. Now I watched Andy and I said, I like this kid, a little chubby kid, but Andy's like, he's like my height. He's like 6'2". I said, what the fuck? Right? And he doesn't have the best physique, but he got some fast ass hands, man. He got some fast hands. And I'm watching him, and I said, you know what? He didn't have a full camp to fight AJ, but he's just coming off of a fight, so he's still fresh.
Yeah.
So I said, you know something? Stylistically, if they allow him to fight the way he's used to fighting on the inside, he could give AJ a problem. But I didn't really think that it would be that big of a problem. So I had a chance to go to the fight at Madison Square Garden, but I didn't. I went to work that night.
Yeah.
So I went to work that night and I said, man, I just hope Andy beat his ass, man. So I go to work and my phone's going off. I had a friend that worked at the Garden. Well, he's since died, but he worked at the Garden and my phone was going off and I'm just thinking, okay, what round did AJ beat him in? I just didn't bother to make no phone calls. So I get off of work, I pick up my phone, I have like 20 or 30 missed texts. Did you see it? Did you see it? I'm like, all right. So I call one of my friends back and I said, well, what happened? They said, yo, AJ got knocked out. I said, what? I said, man, it's too late in the morning for you to be trolling me. Don't stop fucking with me, dude. They said, no, Andy dropped him like 6 times. I was like, what? Man, I ran home. No, I went to the gym that night. Right after work, I went to the gym. They have ESPN playing, and all you see is Andy knocking the shit out of AJ. And he's on the floor. I said, yo, what the fuck happened? Now, there was some bullshit that happened behind the scenes, but that's beyond the point. I was so happy for Andy because that story, he was just about to quit, man. He was just about to quit, and he got the opportunity of a lifetime. I was so happy for Andy, and for him, he got dropped really bad.
Look when he got hit with that left hook. Look at when he gets knocked down and how his hands are behind his head. Look at his face.
Yeah.
That's a punch that hurts, baby, because he got one of those like, holy shit.
But he got up. Now let me tell you, that was AJ. When AJ hit people like that, normally they don't
get up.
They don't get up. When Andy got up, that scared the shit out of him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he came right back in that round and hurt him, man. Andy and I heard Evander Holyfield sparred with him, and he said, "Man, I couldn't keep that kid off me." Yeah. So Andy's the truth, man. He just has to keep his weight under control.
Yeah, we've known Andy's. I've known him here in in the Southwest and then the West. We've heard about him since he's been a young kid. And talking about that, he's always been a little gordito, a little chubby, you know, but he works his ass off, you know, doing all that. And he just needs to get a little bit more discipline back on it, and shit, his ability is tremendous, you know.
Yeah.
Well, it's him and Ortiz coming up, right? Luis Ortiz.
Yeah.
Yes. Ortiz,
Sheesh. I
That's
don't know.
That's gonna be an interesting fight.
That's a
God
big
damn.
punching, geez, left-hander, man. Geez.
I don't know about that one, man. Ortiz is a scary man.
Absolutely.
He's a
His
scary
punch
man.
is big right here. Talking about
Y'all saw the fight with Ortiz, or he knocked the dude out with his bicep. You saw that?
Yeah.
He threw a hook, and the guy ducked, and
he hit him right
Ortiz hit him in the bicep, and then knocked him out.
Yep.
Yeah. I think Andy's gonna have to be first, and hopefully Ortiz ages overnight.
Yeah.
You know,
Andy's gonna have to let his hands go. You know what you said about his speed. He got to use that. Let his hands. You know those big punchers that come boom. Those you can't let them come off, man. You got to let your hands go.
yeah. And I like Andy, man. I like Andy. He disappointed me in the rematch with AJ because he wasn't in shape.
Not in shape, baby.
He wasn't in shape, man. And
That's
I really thought.
Heritage, baby. Shit, man. Hey, I had a couple of those too, man. Don't worry about those. You know, and I greatly appreciate when you said I come into shape and all that. But there was one time, man, I had so much problem in camp, and I was like, shit. And it was because I had just became champion, and I was getting money and different.
Oh, wow.
I was eating all the enchiladas, baby, that I should have been eating them from home because, it was good, but I got a little bit of money and I got to go find some nicer places, baby.
Wow.
But yes, man, you guys are wonderful, man. I love this.
Man, we appreciate you, man. We appreciate you, man. Do you have like any like social media so people to follow or a website to your gym?
On our social media, it's under Danny Romero's Hideout, and just look up that name, and you'll find us all across the board.
Excellent. And any of the fighters that they have social media, always feel free because we're gonna them on the show. We can plug them, and we'll support them, man.
I got a couple of guys that do Primo Ramos. Look up Primo Ramos. He's one of my dad's other champions. He was a champion in the 80s. He would be great to talk to, man, because he has all the old school hard fights from when he used to spar with Julio Cesar Chavez and all.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I know him real well. He's actually a principal in Durango, Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
So it's
Oh, that's dope.
I always give him hell. I'm like, we how in the hell did you learn how to become a damn principal? Yeah, maybe we know how to knock fools out.
But it's mess with them.
It's in the education world,
No.
Yeah, I want to ask Danny real quick before we head off, man.
Yes,
who do you think's gonna come out on top in the lightweight division? Well, we got Devin Haney and Shakur and
look at
Devontae and all those guys.
Man, look at all that talent right there, man. That is crazy right there.
135 is crazy right now.
It's crazy. The pure boxer, got all the stuff. Haney has.
Were you surprised by Devin Haney's performance against Kambosos? Did you think that Kambosos was going to do better?
He was going to be able to. I thought he wasn't going to be able to let Devin be able to box. You understand what I mean?
Right.
And that shows that's those abilities like those Sugar Ray Leonards and, that are able to box, punch, stay in the pocket of it, not just have one or two game plans. I mean, Kambosos didn't do nothing.
Yeah. What about that jab though by Devin? Just constantly, bam, up, down, left hook, bam, bam.
That is a world-class jab. That my coach always just said, you don't have a jab, you ain't gonna be world champion. That is gonna be a long time with that. And see, I'm a puncher, baby. You know what I like to do? I like to come in and try to hurt you. I hit you wherever it's at. I know if I hit you on the back of your neck, it's gonna hurt. So these type of fighters, like those, like even Gervonta. Tete has all this ability, right? But the punching power will be nullified from a Devin Haney like that. You understand what I mean? Unless he can box in and out and punch with those big shots like that. I'm talking about Gervonta. Haney has already shown that he could stop that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
yeah,
put my money.
And he's a big lightweight as well.
And
Devin,
big, yes.
Devin Haney is big, long, and so I don't know, man.
I seen him when we were in Vegas somewhere. He was standing next to Spence, and he was just as big as Spence. I said,
just as big as Spence,
right?
Just as big as Spence, yeah.
I went, damn, Spence is a big old 47-pounder in there.
Yeah.
So,
is there anybody that you see today and you're saying, you know what, in my prime, I would love to have fought that guy?
Oh, yes. You know, for me, just because of how his ability and all that whole thing. Now, in my weight classes, of course, I would have loved to fight like Leo and, those type of guys, because not only did Leo, he comes to fight, he makes it exciting.
Yeah.
I would have never been I fought a little bit heavier, but my top was about 126 pounds. So, these guys of today, the one that I would have loved to fight would be probably Haney, because it would be the everything that I could to try to beat that ability. You know what I mean? And that's a challenge, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Yeah,
That'd have been a boxer versus a boxer puncher.
Right.
Yeah, that would have been exciting.
Yeah, it would have been exciting, and I think, and even in the lower weight classes, just like what I seen with Rodriguez today, that would have been a great fight. He's left-handed. Now I knocked out every left-hander I fought, so today, man, those guys are badasses, man. They, I when I seen Chocolatito fight, I went, wow, that's a whole other. There's the next levels. They're changing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're just changing. And now look at the next version. So,
now look at your style. I immediately, and that's what I said last week. I was watching you fight Tapia. I said, man, how would it have worked out watching Danny versus Gary Russell Jr.?
Yes,
that would have been a dope ass fight.
Maybe
man.
That one would have been. And Gary, I mean, he's quick, got good snap, got good stuff. But those type of guys in my career, I knocked them out, baby.
That's what's up, man. Man, listen, this has been a blast, man. This has been a blast, man.
You guys got me forever, bro. So whatever, I'm in this. And please, what you said about the fighters, from there's many of them. Not only Manfredi, whatever, but there's many of our brothers that we need help, and I am here, baby. Please, get in contact. Let's do something. Let's talk.
Proactive, exactly, man.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
I'm here to support you guys too, man. This is beautiful. I love this talk because it's real talk. We're I just want the best for my sport and my boxing, and my next guys that are taking that to the next phase are you guys, man. And I respect that so much.
Thank you, bro, man. I much appreciate. We definitely gonna have you back. We'll probably have you back before the next big fight. Oh wait, you guys, my brother 88 Sports Talk in the super chat. He says, Danny, what you think about Salvador Sanchez?
Oh my, here we go. See.
Yeah.
Sanchez was, man, he would have been bigger than Julio. He was a all-around fighter, better than some of the other ones. Not a typical Mexican either. Big, tall, skinny for 126, and could punch and box and move. Just a tremendous, tremendous fighter. Plus, look at this. He died at 23 years old. What could it? Where would it have been? That was just
crazy.
23. Look at who he beat. He beat Gomez, Nelson. Actually, there was a badass Romero back then, but he kicked his ass too. And there was all those guys he beat. 23 years old. How great would that have been?
Damn, man.
Yeah, he wasn't even around long enough to bring that Mexican Afro into style, man.
Yeah. Hey, back in the days, all the 70s, hey, my pops and all those guys back in the day, los Mexicanos always had their big old
The
their,
big
their
hair,
fros.
man.
Their fros were from Salvador Sanchez because they loved him, you know.
He was a beast, man. Salvador was, and he never got started. You know, it sucks seeing that happen. You know, because you know he never reached his potential. It's like it was short lived, and sort of like, well, you know, Paul Williams is still alive, but it's like Paul Williams, one motorcycle accident, and it was over with.
Man,
That sucks. And you know what sucks about that? People don't remember. He had just signed to fight Canelo.
Yeah.
They just signed the fight, and he was on the way to a wedding and crashed on his motorcycle. Can you believe that?
I remember.
And we probably would have got Paul Williams and Floyd Mayweather too.
Down the road, yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Man.
Yeah. Damn, that's crazy. We got to keep talking, baby. That is beautiful.
Hell yeah, man. So we're gonna wrap this up, man. Danny, we're definitely gonna have you back, man.
Absolutely.
Definitely
I'm here.
have you back, my brother.
Anytime. You guys got the numbers. I'm available to you guys anytime, please.
Excellent.
I'll send you some extra some former world champions that are very in need to talk that would love your guys' support.
Yeah, man, because look, we're here for education, and we like I said, I came up watching all of you guys. You know what I'm saying? So this is I'm in learn mode right now.
Yes, baby.
I love telling people I don't know everything. I know some stuff, but I like to talk to the pros because you've actually done it. You've been there and done it.
That's why I'm telling you guys, look up Socrates. We're like a 2-year-old, baby. We're just looking around. You know, all these experts. Do they know? I don't know, man. Let's find out, right? Let's do it with that.
Right, man. Thank you, Daniel. We'll be in touch, brother. Most definitely, brother.
Absolutely.
All right, now.
Thank you, bro.
Hit you up, man. All right, Danny.
Peace. Stormy, let everyone know how they can find you, brother, man. This was dope.
Everybody can find me right here on YouTube, man. Stormy B Man is the channel. So don't have to look far. It's right there.
No doubt. My brother Divine Sense Boxing in the building, man. If they don't know, let them know. Oh, he's on the phone. Trick. Let them know how they can find you, brother.
You can find me on Instagram, Trick_Noting, and on Facebook, Anthony Carter. And you can find me here with you and the Sensei, talking to these legends, man, on Sundays. Appreciate you having me on, man.
Man, bro, listen. When you see these guests on here, just know that Trick Nolte is the reason. He's absolutely, Divine Sense had to float out of here, but he's the reason. So forget my super chats. Y'all hit him up on that Cash App. He's always talking to fighters. All right. We all love the sport, but he's out there actually touching base with these guys and getting them on. You understand? That's why Sundays is the fun day for me. You know what I mean? So show the brother some respect, man. And I appreciate you, Trick, for real, man. You know what I mean? I look forward to, just talking to you.
You're my brother for life, man.
No doubt. I'm looking forward to talking to you regardless, but it's always when I get that text in caps, so yo, you never guess who I spoke to. I'm like, yo, who you got? You know what I mean? And this is what the community is all about, man. This is what the community is all about, man. And we just love talking boxing, man. And this is the kind of conversation that I like having. I really despise talking about the news, but tomorrow's Monday and it's back to business as usual. We're gonna chop up on some more bullshit. I love reminiscing more than I like talking about the bullshit today. Believe me, you see how calm I am? Wait till tomorrow morning because I gotta talk about some more nonsense. No diggity doubt, man. So this was dope, man.
But hey, man,
much love and appreciation, man.
I want to say this though, man.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just speaking with Danny, man. Just saying, speaking with Danny, talking with him, man. He just listen to how he's talking. He want to do a lot for the fighters of the past. And it was just great talking with him. Once again, you hit him up, and he's so shocked that somebody hit him up. You know, nobody hits the guy up, man. So I did that, and I'm glad I did, man. I enjoyed the show today, man. It was great. Just listen to him talk, man. And it was great being there with you and Stormy and Divine. I appreciate it, man.
Word up, man. Word up. And that's what I'm saying. A lot of these guys, they got a lot of stuff to get off their chest, and they can add to the community. And ESPN ain't talking to them.
Yep.
And I believe we reach more of a more pure audience anyway when we do things like this. And Real recognizes Real, and he appreciates us, and I definitely appreciate him, and he's more than welcome. The next big fight, I want to get all these guys back. You know, maybe I can get him and Angel on here so they can talk to each other. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So that'll be dope, man. So man, I appreciate
we got
you
him,
guys.
man. We got him.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you guys, man. Salute to everybody in that donated. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, man, don't be shy. Hit up Trick and that Cash App, man. He gets all of this stuff done, man. Much love and appreciation to everybody, man. And we will see you tomorrow. Much love, y'all. Peace.
All right, y'all.
Move!